Okay, so when we dig in a little bit deeper into the Express Entry report of basically all the people who immigrated through Express Entry in 2019, we could see a few other numbers here, and it's pretty interesting. So they break down a lot of information actually in this report, but unfortunately they do not take a look at the language level of the people who immigrated through Express Entry. So it's something that we'll take a look at today. We'll try to decipher what we can, but I find it's a shame that they didn't, like they divide it down by education, like they have the number of people who immigrated with master's degrees, bachelor's, etc. But for some reason they did not break it down according to CLBs. However, some information that we got has to do with the French language. So some people, or a lot of people, I guess, immigrated through Express Entry and they had French as their first official language. So this might be a question that you have or a question you're getting from your clients where they'll say, hey, I saw that I get extra points for having a certain French level. Should I pursue this? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so in terms of if this is a good strategy for RCICs, the answer is going to be no, in most cases. So when we take a look at the number of people who actually immigrated through Express Entry who had French, and that means people who had a CLB 5 or higher to get those extra points, or a CLB 7 or higher, or I guess they'd be together anyways, to use French as the first language for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, or CEC. Well, you're looking at some pretty small little numbers here. So you're looking at almost 3% of Express Entry profiles that received an ITA had French. Then you've got about 1.5 or 1.66% who had French as a first language. So if you're thinking of looking at the statistics and saying, hey, is this a good opportunity for my clients? I mean, the answer is, in most cases, the answer is no. You'd want them to increase their English language points instead. So why is that what we are focusing on here? Well, I mean, it works. So we've got hundreds of RCICs who do this. And I would say thousands who don't, right? So I wanted to really make sure we can cover this. Okay, when we dig into that report, again, we take a look at what is a typical profile. So you can see the age over here, where we've got, or I'll use the fancy little pen here. Okay, so you can see in the age over here, we've got pretty much everybody in this range of 20 to 34. When we look at foreign experience, yeah, I mean, we know that there's not really much of a difference between 3 years and 5 years in terms of the way that the points work. But again, pretty much everybody is down there. Education, it's what you would suspect. It's mostly master's degree. And of course, those bachelor's degrees. Master's degree is, of course, great when we unlock those additional points in Express Entry. When you take a look at Canadian work experience, now most of your clients will not have Canadian work experience. I would say most of your clients are actually overseas and they want to come here. People who do have that opportunity to come to Canada and work for a year or 2 years, or maybe their company wants to transfer them over or something like that, I mean, that's a home run because that opens so many immigration options. But of course, the feedback from the immigration company I work for and the feedback from almost all of the RCICs that I work with and talk to is this, really, is that most people do not have Canadian work experience. So we're looking over here at a typical profile. So yeah, let's say 28 years old is I think the example we'll see next. A few years of work experience, and a bachelor's degree or master's degree. And unfortunately, that report does not mention language. So the big tip is really focus on that CLB9. So let's take a look at one of those typical examples, and let's correlate that with an RCIC strategy to increase those points. So let's say we've got this person here, where her profile is pretty much what we looked at in the previous data, and we can see there's tons of people really like this, right? So with this, we can see the points add up over here. I don't really want to jump into analyzing the points too much, but we've got a 387. Now, we saw before that there are tens of thousands of people sitting in that pool of candidates, and they've got 387, 422, something like that, right? So what do we want to do? CLB9 is the key. So moving that language score up 1 CLB unlocks quite a number of extra points, right? And this would put her at 469, which equals almost certainly, at some point anyways, an invitation to apply. So, but what if the person took a look at the IRCC news release or talked to her friend or something, and the person said, hey, if you study French, you get extra points. So let's concentrate on French. Okay, so right now this person is over here at the 387, and let's say that she doesn't speak French right now, but went and studied French, got that CLB 5. Well, you've got 50 extra points in the skills transferability, or pardon me, the additional points in section D. You've got 4 extra points in the language ability under section A, which equals 54 extra points, which puts her now at 441. And you might say, yeah, but I mean, 469 versus 441, that's not that much of a difference from each other. So why is this not the strategy that you should want your clients to do? All right, well, moving from a CLB 1, so from basically no French, to a CLB 5 in French would take, I'm not too sure how long. It'd probably take a year minimum of intensive. And meanwhile, moving from a CLB 8 to a CLB 9 in English, how long would that take, right? So how long does it take to move 1 CLB versus 5 CLBs? Moving, I know I've been teaching IELTS for years, and moving clients up a band 0.5 is usually about 2 weeks, 4 weeks. So meanwhile, if you have a super beginner in French and you want them to go up to a CLB 5, I mean, that's quite a journey for people. So again, I think this is something that is unclear for the general public. I think for some RCICs, it might be a little bit unclear as well. It's always better, or almost always better, to extend that first language to get those extra points rather than start a new language.